Moving forward, ladies and gentlemen, to the much awaited panel discussion. Here we go. The role of technology in shaping the future of customer and employee experience. This panel discussion aims to delve into the dynamic intersection of technology, CX, and EX. I would now like to call upon on stage the moderator for this panel discussion, Ms. Sudha Bhatt, Senior Director, Unifor. She's an experienced customer analytics professional on board for the CX show with a strong track record in service delivery, business process, and analytical skills. She brings valuable insights to the event. Ma'am, you can please take your seat. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce the panel. Surya Vedula, Vice President Delivery, Nagaro. Yes, Mr. Surya is a Vice President Delivery at Nagaro with a diverse background that includes outcomes. Sir, I request you to kindly please come onto the stage and take your seat. Yes. Next member on the panel, Joy Chakraborty, Chief Operating Officer, Hinduja Hospitals. Joy Chakraborty, the Chief Operating Officer at Hinduja Hospitals, brings a wealth of experience and expertise to his role. Joy's strategic leadership and keen focus on customer experience have led to significant advancements in the hospital's operations and service delivery. With his proven track record in managing complex healthcare systems, he has successfully implemented innovative solutions to improve efficiency, patient outcomes, and overall organizational performance. Our next member on the panel, Sridhar Murthy, the Country Head Customer Service, IKEA India. He leads one of IKEA's key business units, that is customer support, to drive sales, growth, and profitability. He has played a significant role in building and sustaining high customer satisfaction and strengthening the workforce to deliver a seamless process of query resolutions and IKEA's online and remote services. Prior to IKEA India, he has led global delivery and enterprise IT at Tech Mahindra. Our next member on the panel, Shweta Srivastava, Chief Customer Experience, Tata Click. Shweta comes with a deep understanding of the e-commerce industry. Shweta has mastered the art of designing customer journeys across channels and touchpoints. Every step of the way, she thinks like the customer themselves, ensuring a seamless and high-quality experience from the moment they open a marketplace app or website. Our next member on the panel, Sukhwinder Pal Singh, Head of Delivery Excellence Global Business Solutions, Fujitsu. With a strong focus on altitude, integrity, and commitment, he brings a wealth of experience in IT services and operations management. His continuous learning mindset keeps him at the forefront of industry trends. From programming to technology, Raju, Senior AVP Consulting and Transformation Solutions, EXL. David is a healthcare senior executive with over 20 years of leadership experience with expertise in strategic business unit development, global healthcare operations, and digital transformations. He has successfully led large-scale EHR, EMR implementations and consulting engagements in the healthcare and life sciences sectors. As an advocate of design thinking, he spearheads product management initiatives in conversational AI, analytics, automation, and more. And our last but not least member on the panel, Abhay Prasad, Vice President Operations and Center Head, First Source. With over 23 years of extensive experience in management and tactical business leadership, he has achieved remarkable success in driving business growth, profitability, and strategic alliances across multiple geographies. Over to you, Ms. Sudha. Can we have all the mics, please?
introduction. First of all, thanks to all the panelists for taking your valuable time and being here. And I'm looking forward to a very engaging conversation. And, I would like to start with the point that Mr. Raja just mentioned around tech is not equal to transformation, which I'm hoping that most of you will agree on. Because as an end customer, I definitely, agree that just because a technology lies there, it doesn't mean that you're offering the best of the experience, either to your employees or to your customers, right? And we very well know that, we as end customers, with the help of technology, are kind of shaping the industry. And thanks to the chat GPTs of the world, everything is at a click, including for my 12-year-old, who I learn from her every day on how to use what. And, she literally owns my tech space, right? So I'm sure most of you with children are also going through the same thing. So, I thought that we could kind of, look at how we are shaping and utilizing tech today. And let's keep it as conversational as possible. And I will open it up for questions towards the end as well, so that, we can get in some views from our attendees also. I hope that format is okay for you all, yeah? So let me start with Mr. Surya, right? So, in what ways do you think, like, tech has changed or, is bridging that gap between a customer expectation and what it does to your employees internally? So maybe we can start with that as an opener.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right, sure.
Perfect.
So we are talking about two parts, right? One is your customer experience. Other one is your employee or customer expectation from the employees that are servicing the customer, right? Oftentimes, the difficulty is the codification of what is the expectation of the customer and matching it to the codification of the employee skills or data or past experiences, right? Technology is an enabler in this, not so much that it'll automatically resolve the problem. So much like the gentleman who spoke before us, technology is not going to really just solve it. It's just going to enable it, make it faster, make it easier. But we cannot check ourselves out of this entire process of enabling, the enabling function. Now, customer is expecting, much like the Unifor solution, talk to one person, get the complete answer, not be passed on to another operator in the chain, right? So a full stack, I come from the services industry, technology services industry.
Yeah.
So customers expect a full stack, call it a developer, analyst, whatever else. And the skills that people need to have are domain-specific, technology-specific, as well as project management skills. Now, the codification of all of these in an employee, and how would you match them and what percentages is the challenge, and their past experiences. So putting all this data together into the large databases, now whether it's an AI or a chat GPT or whatever else be the technology, putting all of them together, matching them, I think is where the technology has to play a huge role.
Yeah, I agree. And I think the space of the platform or the product engineering itself has changed completely, right? And you would know that better than me over there.
Just one last aspect to this is the functional requirements are easily captured, but the non-functional expectations from the employer of the employer are not captured so easily. So oftentimes, while the customer may still be satisfied, you may have a dissatisfied employee, which leads to additional problems later in the value chain.
And attrition in that process as well. Yeah. So, Mr. Sukhwinder, from Fujitsu's example, it'll be great to hear from you because there the type of customer is going to be very different. So I would love to get that thought from you.
Yeah, so you talked about bridging the gap between customer expectations and employee capabilities. So before I go into technology part of it, let's see what are these gaps and why do those gaps come in. So number one, we don't understand what customer wants. So let's call it understanding gap. Second is you understand it, but you are not able to convert it to service specification or product specifications.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So that is translation gap. Then third, you understand it, you are able to translate it, but you are not able to deliver it. Maybe skill gap, employee skill gap. Now you are able to do all these three. You have a service or a product which is good, but you are not able to communicate it. So communication gaps. So these are the four major gaps that I see which can exist. Now there are various technologies which are there to fill this gap. help with these gaps or so. During the day, we'll be talking about many of those. We have already heard some of those in the morning today. We have CRM platforms, which have been there for quite some time, becoming very mature now, can address a lot of things over there, then customer journey orchestration platforms and all that. But one thing, what I want to talk about is taking a cue from what Raja said in the morning. Transformation is about relationship. And relationship is about trust. It is built on trust. So how do you build that customer trust that improves customer experience and takes it to a next level? So that is through reliability and transparency. And that's where blockchain and digital distributed ledger technology is playing a role today, where customers are able to go through the entire journey, how a product has been developed, whether genuine parts have been used into this, whether all sustainability related practices have been used into this, and they built a trust on that. Every year, 1 million patients die because of fake drugs, fake medicines. And these medicines can be fake, or it can be a fake ingredient in a genuine medicine build.
Absolutely.
But in both cases, it is the company whose name is there on that medicine that is losing trust and customer experience.
Yeah.
That's where this technology helps.
No, I love the points, it is so loaded where you linked up the gaps to the brand loyalty, to the trust factor, which is absolutely true. And now to the IKEA man, Mr. Sridhar. Yeah, I mean, thanks to Bangalore traffic, I've never been able to visit IKEA. Yeah, but
you should come.
I should take a days off from Unifor. So whoever is listening, so please, just to go there. Yeah, but I would love to get in your views, around these gaps and what is it that IKEA is doing different there as well.
Yeah, I think retail is a very competitive environment, and especially in an evolving market like India, customer experience plays a very critical role, and that defines a lot in terms of how an organization is succeeding or not. And we believe coworkers play a big role in providing fantastic customer experiences. For us in IKEA, coworkers and customers are at the heart of everything that we do. And the same is true for any technology intervention as well for us. So, and we leverage technology in a multitude of ways. I mean, for example, we have a happy customer score index, which beautifully combines customer feedback and analytics to provide us insights on thinking what the customer is happy about, what the customer wants us to work on, improve on. And we take these insights, funnel it back into our learnings, and improve our service offerings, our customer offerings. We have a social engagement platform where our coworkers are able to, share these learnings together in groups, or learn the best practices. We have a bot, Billy, which helps customers answers the question, also at the same time improves the coworkers' efficiency as well. Self-checkout and so on and so forth. So, I think for us, we understand, as a brand, as IKEA, we have responsibility towards customer data as well.
Yeah.
How we empower our processes and our co-workers in managing that customer data responsibly, I think that goes a long way in building, brand loyalty for us. I think that's very, very critical. We leverage technology to build trust so that our omni-channel journey is a seamless one for co-workers and customers at the same time.
Yeah. No, thank you. And I think all the three of you, hit the nail by talking about a point where technology is an enabler in that. And then, how the core of the CX principle is around the trust, the trust for both from a customer and an employee perspective. So I think it's a good segue for us to move, to Shweta, again, another CX analytics champion like me. So, what role do you think, Shweta, that where you see data and analytics, as Mr. Sridhar said, where it comes into important play in terms of personalization or maybe understanding the different facets of the customer behavior given the numerous channels we have?
Right. Thank you for asking this question. I will take a step back and first talk about data analytics. Raja has already said, I think Raja said it all. We all are just repeating his point.
Raja, you're the man today. You're the man.
We are quoting all your examples. So he said that data in silos, right? And it's the biggest challenge. I think if you can use data effectively, curate it well, where you are effectively able to convert data into relevant information and information into insights, and then using those insights to, for technology interventions, that is beneficial for the brands.
Absolutely.
And we should start from there. Now, let's say, assuming ideal, way of using data analytics, and to answer your question, how it is enhancing personalization. So I'll give the example from what we do. So I work with Tata Click, and Tata Click, as you all know, is an e-commerce app. And we work in 3 lines of businesses. There's a mall business, there's a luxury side of business, and third one is on the beauty side. So we manage a very unique loyalty program where we use data as a core to provide personalized experiences to the customer. Now, how it works is, so we have used data analytics to deep dive further into various cuts to understand really what are the common interest or consumer behavior, shopping patterns that exist. And there is an algorithm that we have built, right? And that algorithm really, works on the data and tells us these are your top customers. And these top customers are basis, their, number of orders with us, number of, interactions with us, and their lifetime with Tata Click. Basis that it tells us this is your top 10% customer, these are your loyal customer. So data gives us insight that these are your loyal customers, and then using technology, and again quoting Raja's example of virtual relationship management, been using WhatsApp as a tool to interact with these HNI customers, because obviously no one likes to be bombarded with calls. Nowadays WhatsApp is a medium. And these relationship management process is helping us generate more sales, enhance customer experience, and also improve the repurchase rate.
Absolutely.
So this is one example that, I always quote to give example of how we can actually personalize, not only personalize, but hyper-personalize, which is n is equal to 1. Through data analytics.
Yeah, no, I resonate with you because in my 2 decades of experience, data is the foundation, and we've had so much of struggle while building out, say, a predictive model or a churn indicator and so on.
It is said you need to use data or stats even to prove the truth, right?
Absolutely, absolutely, agree. So, Sukhvinder, I know you spoke about this a little bit in your earlier point, So I would love to weigh in your thoughts as well around the personalization and customer behavior.
I think I look at, I want to talk about a very simple example. We all come across these hawkers at traffic signal, right? They have just 2 to 3 minutes to strike a deal. And you will see them using predictive analytics and real-time analytics in a real manner there.
True.
Okay. As that signal turns red, they will quickly scan through the cars. They will identify these are the 3 cars I want to target. This is predictive analytics. They know which customer they want to target. They have done the customer segmentation there. Now they will go there. They will look at your expression, your body language. If they are sending something for kids and a kid is sitting in the car, they know how they are going to do their pricing.
Correct.
So all this is being practiced by everyone since ages. It's just that a complexity of the business today, now multiplied by number of channels, number of customers, number of employees, it becomes very, very, very complex. That's what the technology brings on the table for you to enable you to do that through that already Shweta has talked about, so I will not repeat those things, but customer churn, increasing revenue and all that. So everything is there with the technology to do something which a hawker can do.
No, it's true, and I definitely think AI is an enabler here. AI and analytics is definitely an enabler, and I think we are in an era where we are using AI to the max, where we can turn that into your desired business outcome. Yeah, and I know, Mr. Joy, you're from the healthcare side, and a lot around the patient experience, very different from the customer experience angle. So I think if you can talk about some of the challenges and even the opportunities, and what do you do to bridge that with respect to integrating new technologies, I think that will be a great discussion.
Thank you, and it was a nice question. I think good platform to share the healthcare experience too. I go back, the basic fundamental here. Most of the fellow panelists, they are representing, either retail or a product or some sorts of consumer items for which your customer comes, they may buy online and they leave. But for us, the hospital, you understand, a patient, the most important part is the trust.
The human touch.
Your decision regarding selection of a hospital will be entirely dependent, because it's a matter of life and death in most of the cases. Secondly, they stay for a much longer time within your facility if they are admitted. Not like half an hour, 1 hour shopping and they are not leaving. They are going to be there. And the most important person along with your patient is the attendant who is watching 24 hours, who is also staying in the hospital along with the patients. So we need to keep, all of them engaged, and more than engaged, we need to deliver certain values to ensure that at the end of the entire treatment episode, they go back happily and they feel satisfied.
Yeah.
Now, another part of it in healthcare, this patient experience concept probably didn't come like other sectors so many years back. In India, to be very frank, maybe 2012-13, around that time, people started talking about it, because in 2008, the first time globally in healthcare, the patient experience concept was brought by Cleveland Clinic after a huge experience when they saw their profitability was down, they're going to incur loss. And after concentrating on that, they completely turned around the hospital, and today the kind of reputation they have. Now coming back to the technology, what we do and why we do. Again, because of the nature of healthcare delivery system, we need to have your satisfied employees. Employee experience, we prefer to have better, and then only you can think about patient experience. If you don't have a satisfied or a patient employee who is happy and thorough with the thing what they need to do, they cannot do. So some of the technologies what we thought one of the major pain point in any healthcare facility is waiting for multiple things. The second thing, the preference. Just before this session, I heard about the Marriott, that the coffee was offered as soon as someone checked in. And same experience I had in US, and where we have seen in Marriott, I moved from one city to the other city, and as soon as I entered, they offered me the same dish what I asked in the previous hotel from New York to Chicago. So from there, we learned, and especially in our hospital, I can tell you very rarely you can see in a hospital, we have the same thing, a patient data completely tracked. And when someone gets admitted in the hospital, we know last time what they preferred, what kind of requests they had, even including the room cleaning time, even, what they want specifically from laundry, what they want specifically from the food service department, all these are tracked. And the moment the same patient comes, the entire team gets into it, and we get automated message, and we know that last time, even if there is any bad experience during the stay, and whatever the reason, we can track. The other thing what we have done in terms of waiting period, we have done many things, but one of the best thing I can tell you, in hospital, unlike many other sectors, again, you have many customers and you have few touch points and there is a chance of queue. So we have put a system where sensor based, where a patient is given some sorts of tracker and they can see where the waiting period is less, and if they need to go to 10 touch points for a health checkup kind of thing, wherever is a less number of people waiting, they are diverted.
Yeah.
And the manager of the facility can track that where they need to divert, and accordingly they can navigate the patient. So that is the way we try to reduce turnaround, and similar examples are there plenty. So I'll not take much time, but I'll just telling you
I
a couple of
think-
top of the mind,
Sure.
examples. Yeah.
No, thank you so much. And I think, we as a country as well, especially in the healthcare space, have evolved so much. And, I do think that now, hospitals are sometimes treated as, great hotels as well, because, you can see the service difference, and it's not so in the other countries. And I think all of us have to be proud of that fact. So thank you for that service. Yeah. So please, Mr. Abhinay and David, don't think I'm ignoring you. But, so I just, would love to get your view, David, on how do you think, where we all spoke about tech and the automation and so on that we've been hearing, how do you think that organizations can strike a balance between these two, right? And, you want to ensure that the human touch kind of is also there and it's not completely lost. But how do you think, it can come into a play? And I know you are again from healthcare, so I think it's a valid one. Yeah.
So I think me and Joy would repeat some of the context. See, finding a sweet spot for automation between automation and a human touch is very tough. Because particularly when it comes to the healthcare side, we have to have we cannot avoid the human touch at all. The technology is definitely an enabler. And when we are catering to the customers in the healthcare space, so as we call it as a CX here, we call the PX there. For us, everything is all about the patient and their experience in the hospital and outside the hospital. When they step out of the hospital, so the primary thing that what we have to focus there is like everybody is savvy and craving for a personalization. So everybody wants a tailor-made solutions for them. So we have to be very naive when we are designing the solution, because each patient's requirement is different from each one.
Absolutely.
So I'll give an example of very recently Apollo Diagnostics 24/7. See, once you start clicking on an app, they overload you with the messages. So overloading sometimes makes us to switch off some things. So we never need to overload there. And at the same time, we need to personalize, and then we need to have the human touch. Particularly, Harshini was speaking, because even our parents were like that.
Yeah.
Because we always wants to go and have a stamp on the passbook.
Correct.
So many of the patients still want a human touch, because particularly a lot of patients that we cater to millions of patients through the contact centers. So contact centers, conversational AI is one of the major element. But when we are addressing the clinical queries, so the contact centers need to transfer the calls back to the human agents.
Yes.
So that's where, because many of the standardized questions could be answered through the contact centers.
Absolutely.
But when it comes to the clinically personalized messages, it always need to transfer back to the clinical human agents.
Yeah.
That's where in a CX experience or a patient experience, so it has to go hand in hand.
No, I agree.
Hand in hand. So human touch is definitely not inevitable in the space of customer, but it's going to enhance the way that the customer experience or the patient experience is going to enhance. And as truly said, one, you have a happy employee, where you have because that's what we are working now with the generative AI kind of a solutions, where we wanted to help the employees to have the answers ready for them, so that they answer in a very happy way to the customers. And then if that is also not answered, then it transfers back into the human agent.
Correct.
So the bridge between the human and the technology is always there.
Yeah.
And then both of them go hand in hand.
Correct.
So It's
No, and I
really
agree,
that, yeah.
because healthcare as a field is such a high-touch industry where you've got to be able to lay that sweet spot between what in Unifor we call a hot transfer, like from a conversational AI bot to a human touch, and it should happen seamlessly, right? So I completely agree with you. And Ms. Abhinay, I know First Source, so a completely different angle from the patient experience side to the consumer or the customer side.
Yeah. So yeah, thanks. I've been in the customer experience side for the last 2 decades. Across different product lines, different industries, be it telecom, consumer durables, now in the IT services sector. I think Harshni gave a very good example of how to strike balance between automation and human touch when she asked for coffee to with her husband. And that's something which is very, very applicable to all walks and in all phases where we are as a customer wanting something from the service provider. One thing which I would always say that automation is going to bring in the much desired efficiency, but it can never bring empathy.
Yeah.
There's a big debate upon ChatGPT coming in, causing destruction, causing unemployment. I think that employment is a farce so long as we accept there are 2 different roles. Automation has its own stack, human touch has its own.
Yeah.
In the entire life cycle of a customer experience, if we could segment and personalize which areas a bot can handle, which areas that need a human touch. See, there are a lot of upcoming technologies that include intelligent routing and escalation, looking at reading emotions, predicting which kind of customers are. I think in the first session, Raja made a great point that earlier the contact center was a different ballgame 2 decades back. Yeah. It used to understand who's idle, who's not, and route the calls. But now, in this phase, in this era, the automation understands not just the customer, but also the employee, both EX and CX, and then combines and routes the calls. So when we look at human touches, where human touches are necessary, it's important that the automation stack that we're deploying in that journey understands, identifies where it needs some better level of personalization.
Yeah.
In the world of Siris and Alexas, I still don't find a Siri pronouncing my name accurately. And I heard a gentleman saying about, when I go to Facebook, they want the same experience by LinkedIn. And I think that's where I think, your company, Unifor, is trying to strive towards, and I think every company in the industry. I would say, again, Raja stole the show of I think he ate up all of our thoughts in one go, saying that we work in silos. All of us, I think, in this room strive for the same strive for giving the same kind of experience to all our customers. But somehow we fail to kind of collaborate and bring in the best across each of us and try to give that experience. And those areas which are left out, how do we navigate that as a group? Saying let's say if it's an offering that you're talking about a customer who has once bought a phone, now wants to graduate to an iPad or to an iPad or to a laptop or somewhere. How do we have these individuals kind of do that strategy together so that experience becomes much more elevated than what it is today? I would end this by saying that there would be technologies that will come and go. Every year, every 3 years, you'll see
Sometimes
a change.
every day.
Every day nowadays, exactly, right? And I call that Hava, right? It will be Hava change, and then every time you have to reset, reboot, and again go back with the, maybe the product is the same. I mean, you're going to try, but your experiences, you want to enhance. What was great 2 decades back is no longer good anymore, right?
True.
I want to have everything, my demanding, right? We talk about demanding customers today.
Yeah.
So, there was a wise man once said, अपनी सीट की पेटी बांध लो, हवा बदलने वाला है. सीट की पेटी बांध लिया, हवा भी बदल गया. लेकिन customer वही चाहता है. He wants that great experience which he wanted 2 decades back. So I guess that's, again, I'll end it here, that you can never elevate the human touch from a customer experience. That needs to do with their continual training, be it training human agents or training the bots or the automation stack. That's always going to be part and parcel of what we're going to strive for.
Yeah, no, and that's very true, right? I mean, see, end of the day, even we all as customers or consumers just want our issue to be resolved if there is an issue. We don't care whether it's a bot or it's a human or whatever it is, right? Even an email will do as long as it's resolved, yeah. But when we all are talking about it, the underlying factor over here is the data right? And then utilizing the data wisely, that's where the ethics portion of it comes. So Shweta, I know that because there are so many channels and, the different lines of business that you spoke about, I would want to, understand from you on what are those different considerations that you take in terms of the data ethics, given that, say, I'm one of the customers, so, you have a lot of information about me, and sometimes I do find it a little sneaky, like if I look at a watch, then I know that next minute I'm going to get a lot of ads around that. But how do you, ensure that there's ethics around it, and then, there's that sweet line where you don't go overboard around the hyper-personalization?
Right, it's a very good question and tricky one also. Not only, coming from Tata Click, I am part of Tata Group and it is known for ethics and ethical practices. And coincidentally, I'm also a chief ethics counselor for the organization. So ethics is very important in Tata Group and in the companies. In terms of data, answering your question, we look at data in a manner where all the ethical practices are also restored, right? Couple of things, the way you store data, what all can you store, to what extent. Then taking consent for customer in storing data, right? It's very important. As a customer, I am okay if you're asking me, I'll give you consent. I want you to give me, some personalization. I want you to give me some good offers, personalization, catering to my needs. But I want to know what you are storing, right? What you are taking as an input in your system. So we take care of that. Personal information, PII, is also something which is very, very protected in the environment. And we have whole info security team taking care of it, creating a lot of awareness in the organization in terms of how you should look at data, who can have access to what, and roles and rights regarding that. So that is one part of it. Other is, since we're talking about AI and technology, we are, maybe unintentionally storing a lot of information, training systems in certain way. Some of the ethical considerations are also to remove biasness and, foster fairness in the system, which means the decision making should not be biased through the system, especially for the programs like recruitment or promotions or maybe creating customer policies, right? Your data should not be biased towards a certain set of criterias. So we do certain analysis and our teams ensure that it doesn't happen. Also, one of the points that may be a little off for you, but yes, customer well-being is something we talk about a lot in our organization, which means you don't bombard customer with a lot of technology intervention, right? You are also intruding in personal space of customer. So that is also ethical consideration in our organization, where you are very, very cautious about customer well-being and not making customer overwhelmed with lot of, SMSs, messages, which are
then it becomes
unnecessary.
an overload, a marketing overload, basically.
Yeah, so these are some of the points that I would say.
Thank you, Shweta. Yeah. And I know, Mr. David, from the healthcare side, right? And, given that it's such sensitive data that you're holding and it's a highly regulated industry, so what are some of those standards that you've seen in terms of, ethics?
For us, when we are concentrating on the US healthcare, HIPAA standards are very clear. It's like protected health information. So, but when we are dealing with the CX kind of a story, so I'll give you an example of a prior authorization. Prior authorization, I think it will slowly come into the Indian territory as well, because for every time that we want to use the insurance service provider, we need to get an authorizations from the insurance that, okay, fine, David is authorized to use this data. And not only on the admissions and the care, and we need to get that permissions for using the pharmacy as well. Okay. So pharmacy is covered in US. So pharmacy also need to be authorized for prior authorizations. We use CX there.
Okay.
When we are using a CX there, we make our CX applications compliant with the HIPAA standards or HIPAA standards, where we automatically ask through the conversational AI. The conversational AI bot interacts with the patients and they ask the set of questions, their patient ID numbers, their national identification number, and we authorize that.
Okay.
So that way, all the applications are sensitized, and compliance is one of the key factor. We need to be in adherence with the CMS. So that's an area where we give the trust to the customer, says that yes, your data is protected. Any breach is going to cost us millions of dollars.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
better that we tie our laces better and then walk into the street.
So very high on tech,
Yes,
on the
yes,
compliance
absolutely. Yeah,
portion.
compliance. And we educate the employees, we train them on a regular basis, and we test them as well.
Got
So whether, because sometimes we do forget that we need to be very
Correct.
sensitized with the data.
Yeah.
Because there were hospitals that got shut down because of the HIPAA compliance
yeah.
breaches. So
Yeah. And it's a big issue, I think, across the globe,
absolutely,
actually.
absolutely. We are, India is slowly getting towards into it, where the healthcare and CX is going to have a huge market for India,
Absolutely.
particularly for the insurance sector.
Yeah.
Because we are slowly walking towards that prior authorizations. Because, see, I think Joy can help me there.
Yeah.
Because if any time we're going with the admission of the insurance today, it takes us a long time, because getting the authorization from the insurance is a manual process now.
Absolutely.
Because we need to, admissions clerk needs to work, insurance clerks need to work, and we need to work with the insurance, convincing them, and their physicians will be there authorizing whether I'm entitled to use it or not.
Yeah.
In US, we have made that into an automation process slowly, because that's cutting down the lot of cost as well as the time to address to the patient queries.
Yeah, and I think there's
So-
a lot of tech available in that space as well, where you're looking into your HIPAA regulations, your
Absolutely.
compliance portion, and all.
Yeah.
I would just like to switch to Mr. Joy around the employee experience side, right, which you did talk about. And I think, especially in your industry, the more than the doctors, right? It's the support staff, the nurses or the other attendees who are there, right? So how do you enable that side of the world with the help of technology? Or, what are those factors where you think the tech is empowering them?
So one side is, when you talk about the employee engagement, employee experience, the first thing is, it is not that how they are going to interact with your patients,
Yeah.
but in case of hospital, but also each of the steps, there are 7 to 8 steps or process they undergo from the time they are on board until the time they are with you. So each step, whether it is, interviewing, it is giving their appointment, it is during the course of the employment, their appraisal, giving feedback,
Okay.
all these steps you need to handle
Yeah.
from your organization point of view.
Yeah, and the
So-
feedback can be very, very different, right, over there.
Yes.
Because you might be getting feedback directly, like a word of mouth, or you might have surveys, which they do. So it's a different ball game
So
there.
I can't claim that for each of these we have some sorts of technology or automation, but whether it is selection of from CV, the bunch what we get, or to the extent of their performance appraisal, giving their feedback. So we have a lot of technology involved in that. So that is
Okay.
one part of the story. The other part is, if I am working for an organization who empowers me, who enables me to give and deliver a better service, that helps me to get a better satisfaction. And when I get that, I deliver a better care. So just now the example what he gave about insurance. So today one of the major pain point for any hospital is the TPA, the
Yeah.
third party
Yeah,
administrator
yeah.
who handles the insurance
Insurance
process for the
portion.
cashless especially. And because of whatever reason, in comparison to 5 years, 10 years back, the time what you used to take, today we have gone advanced or got a lot of sophisticated technology, but it takes time. We need to give some sorts of RPA, robotic process
Correct.
automation and kind of things to these people, my desk. So they are not bombarded with questions and they have not harassed by the so-called customers that why it is taking time. So they can do their
Yeah.
job faster, better and smarter. So if they are able to do that through technology, it is also giving them that experience, better experience, and they can deliver better value to the customers.
So, thank you. It's very interesting thoughts in a different industry. So, Mr. Surya, I would love to hear from you around, given that the landscape is evolving so much in terms of the customer experience as such, right? So what do you think are some of the best practices in terms of the product engineering side that you've seen?
The best practices, again, would come down to what Sukhinder was saying earlier, collection of data to understand what the customer wants, mapping it, so the meta tags or the language becomes very, very, very important. And today the struggle is each of the companies are trying to build their own meta language. There is no interoperability of this meta language between what the customer wants versus what the employee wants and expects, and the functional requirements or the non-functional ones for satisfaction of both parties involved, right? You want A skill, B skill, C skill, you have the same experience, you're mapping the two and saying, okay, here, get Surya to work on this, right? But at the end of the day, does Surya even want to work on that? Does he not want to work on that? Are also things that we don't capture today, right? And let's say I move along. So today, a lot of the tools are scraping data from LinkedIn and other experiences, social platforms. You're trying to build a common omni-channel kind of picture of an employee as well as that of a customer. But the matching is becoming very, very difficult. And oftentimes when the matching engines give you something, the human operator is completely checked out and says, oh, A matched you to B, and you said no twice, and then therefore you're out, right? And it's become kind of a very tech-driven kind of process without the empathy factor that we're talking about in patient care and others. And so this is kind of, I think, an area that products and platforms are trying, but the interpretation, I think, still continues to be fairly difficult.
So it's a constant evolution.
It is a constant evolution, and it'll take time. So just bringing in a chatbot and others are bringing in efficiency, agreed, but not the empathy factor that my other colleagues from other industries were talking about too.
I know, Shweta, you touched upon some of these best practices, but how are you future-proofing this tech as well, right?
Right, sure. So some of the things I would say, one is that you stay agile, right? In terms of best practices, stay agile means that you are on top of what is happening around and you are able to adopt emerging trends. And COVID has taught us a lot, right? It is the push that COVID gave us, and digital transformation happened not only in India, across, and we all saw it. Second best practice I would say is that you focus on, when you're bringing technology, focus on whether this technology will match up to the scale of the organization, right? Or match up to the growth of the organization. So have a vision of 2-3 years at least minimum, that where your organization would be, and will the technology you are getting will be able to scale up to that. Then being flexible. So some of the technology, if you're bringing, you should know that you will be able to integrate with your systems easily, right? So that flexibility should also be there. I think that's another best practice that has worked for us, in terms of keeping a future in mind. Yeah, so
I think the tech integration space is again very important, given so many CRM systems that we have, or so many systems that every organization has. And Mr. Sridhar, I'm assuming it's similar thoughts happening in IKEA as well around future proofing, or would you like to add more?
No, absolutely. And for us at IKEA, when it comes to omni-channel, we want to meet the customers where they are, the way they want to, and that's really the essence of our omni-channel strategy. For us, stores, online, or customer support for that matter are the 3 pillars of the omni-channel IKEA. And, a customer can walk into the store, he can fire up the app or go to the website, or he can, reach out to customer support. This entire journey for the customer needs to be very, very seamless in nature. And technology plays a very big role in enabling that for us, right? I spoke about, having the digital touchpoints in the stores earlier. We are also experimenting with, having our entire range presented digitally in our small store format as well, from an omni-channel convergence perspective. We are testing augmented reality feature in our app where the customers will be able to visualize a piece of furniture in their own home and then potentially make a purchase from there. We are looking at, a great example of omni-channel and how technology is coming to picture is in our planning services side. You want to design your kitchen, you want to design your living room, or you want to design your entire house, really. You can walk into the store, you can sit with a coworker face to face, and the coworker can help you design. You can go online, you can try to do that yourself. Or you can, book an appointment with us and we can do that over a video call. You can do that, you can take one channel and, go with that end to end, or you can pick a combination of that. And that is omni-channel for us. I think that convergence is very, very critical, and technology enables us for that. We're also, and social media, for example, is very, very critical medium for us to engage with the customers, right? Not just from a promotions perspective, but from a customer service perspective as well. For example, Instagram is a great channel to talk about. Customers open their hearts to us and share pictures of the beautiful homes. We pick some of the best and put it on a website. It's so inspiring to see customers putting their heart and soul into, making their homes beautiful, right? All this technology, let that be your bots, your digital platforms, your AI, whatever you might call it. End of the day, what is it helping us to achieve? It's helping us to, connect with the customers a little bit better. It's helping us to, share our ideas, inspirations to make their homes a little bit more beautiful, as well, and functional as well. But end of the day, retail it's a great time to be in retail. Retail has evolved.
I agree completely.
A lot in the last 10 years, and especially post-pandemic phase, right? So, we leverage technology to understand the changing customer preferences, to see how we can improve our customer experiences, to make better decisions, so to speak. End of the day, for us, what matters is, if the technology that we're leveraging is able to help us move towards a journey of being more human, being more humane, being more empathetic, then I would say that's a job well done, isn't it?
Absolutely. No, and I think there's a lot of research going around the tonal, the emotional AI piece where, you're trying to mimic a human, this one. And I think that's going to be our next. And I think we all agree over here that, tech is just an enabler for us, but, the human touch is also required, and where there needs to be a line. And I'm going to steal some thoughts from what you said, Mr. Abhinay, where, say, the Alexa or the Google Homes of the world, it, yes, cannot pronounce my name, but listens to my daughter very well. But it's very true, no? I think as they evolve, it's going to be a little more towards the human touch for us, yeah? And I know we are running out of time. So thanks to all of you. Thanks, and I think it was a great discussion, and probably we can just open it up for one or two questions if anyone wants to ask any questions to the panelists.
I'm Weber from Nelson Hall. Question is, in the era of rapidly changing technology, there is a lot of posturing around, we are using the generative AI, we are using conversational AI. How do you as users or the business organizations find it? What typically happens as part of this posturing and the race of using the latest technology, there is often a half-baked product that comes to the consumer. How do you prioritize, or how do you ensure that you are not in that race and there are a lot of POCs? Service providers are doing that, or business users are doing that, but at the end of the day, how do you ensure that the product goes through the entire life cycle and right product comes to the consumer?
I'll answer in the space of a healthcare. So I think if I understand rightly, whether the kind of POC realizable. One of the experiments that we are doing with the generative AI in the healthcare space now, because discharge summary is the pain point from the decades in the healthcare space. The moment that a doctor comes for our 8 o'clock morning rounds to the patient room and says that you are ready to discharge, the patient wants to run off from the bed and go home and have his own biryani at home. But for a hospital, it takes a lot of time to do the billing, put the charts in place, get the medicines ready, and all of them. Moreover, as a doctor is going on the rounds, your junior doctor need to get the certified signature from the doctor says that this is the history, this is what we are, and this is what the patients need to do in the next 15 days. What we are doing through the generative AI now is like, we are taking the entire history of the patient. The generative AI and the conversational AI tools are the ones which generate the digital discharge summary and keep it ready for the physicians before they pronounce that the patient is ready to be discharged. It is giving us a very good successive results, and then that is going to change the entire landscape of the hospital experience for the patients also. And the complete digital summary will come to the mobile platform as well. I do agree, a lot of POCs stop at the funding and then successful testing platform. But if you have a good person, means like a good leader, who is going to be an evangelist to make that happen, the CX will definitely see the sunshine.
I'd just like to add to what Mr. David said, and a very valid point, right? So I think it starts from the discovery part, from the foundation, where you understand what the problem that you're trying to solve, and then you look at it not only from that particular problem, but what are the other factors which affect that. For example, you're trying to, enable sales through your contact center, right? So what are the different factors? Because everything lies in silos, to what Mr. Raja and Harshini were talking earlier, it's very important that you break that silos first before even you bring in a product or a POC or whatever it is, right? So, and then, and he's right. So, you need a champion, not one champion, but you need several champions which is coming up from the leadership to drive those changes that you want. I think we have time for one more question.
Just one more question,
One
please,
question.
because we are running out of time.
Emotions which Abhay which Abhinay spoke in the healthcare industry. So we all know that, it's healthcare experience is somewhat different when compared to customer experience in technology sectors. So can you please tell me, or anyone from the healthcare side, so can you please tell me how that emotional connectivity plays an important role in satisfying the patients, or in other words, I can say the customers' issues in healthcare industry? Because the one, this is the main basic question why I asked is because my wife works as a medical officer in medical hospitals. So when I asked her, what is your interaction and how is your interaction with the patients, she told that it's the emotional connectivity kind of thing that plays an important role. So that's the main reason for this question.
So I'm happy to take your question. Going to be replaced by any technology, because till today, as per Indian culture, patients love to visit the hospital and they want doctor to touch them, take the pulse and note it down by themselves. So during COVID, we have seen a lot of, things have happened like online consultation, remote monitoring and all. I think all those were very good and very nice at that point of time. Otherwise, people would have died because of not getting treatment. However, subsequently, one of the big consulting firm did a survey with the patients across the city in the country, and where 57% of these patients have told, we may like to continue with this system, what we have experienced during COVID, but still 43% they want to come back to the clinic. We have seen close to 85% drop in this online consultation business after hospitals have come back to normalcy. That means what? Still people, they love to come, meet the doctor, get the thing. So we may try to make their journey, their experience smoother and better by having these technologies in place, but you cannot replace that warmth of a nurse, the touch of a doctor, and the kind of feel they get when they visit a hospital. You may not be able to replace them. So probably that is going to be a little different than the experience of IKEA and other sectors. Hospitals are not going to change in coming days. I think we have to wait for many more years.
Yeah, and I think just to add on what Joy said, interesting the demographics of India, right? 70% of our population are aged between the age of 15 to 65. And that's a big range. And that's where the human personalization comes into picture. We need to identify which age group. You just can't say the 20-year-old guy would like to have personalization, or my dad would like to have a personalization. So look at analytics, find out the customer behavior, and really cherry point. If there is a segment that needs personal touch, no matter what automation you're going to use, he's not going to be happy, right? So there goes your answer.
So thank you once again for being a great audience, and thanks to all the panelists. Thank you.